Hello, everybody.
Howdy, Aaron.
Welcome into The Drive. Aaron Jackson, Mark Paulette here
Is that
for you.
appropriation opening up the show?
I don't know if you're Australian. I'm not even sure I did Australian, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, we weren't that close.
Plus,
it's out of love.
Right. Brought to you by Next Home Experience, the market leader. Get looped and get sold with Next Home Experience. I will say and maintain saying I think Australian is the best accent.
It's the coolest.
Yeah.
I don't know that
My
it's the
Siri
best.
is Australian.
Really?
Yep.
Miranda's is also foreign. So hers might be Australian as well,
I
now
think
that you
is.
say it.
Yeah. It's a nice.
I'm not going to say it's
accent.
the most elegant accent, but I am going to say it's the best and most entertaining.
Yeah,
That's
very
what,
much
that's what
enjoy
I'll put
it.
on it.
That's Curtis Mead right there, the new Red Sox second baseman, getting hit by a pitch in his second at bat for the team, and already a little banged up. We'll see. I don't know if he's in the lineup tonight or not. We probably won't know before the show is over, frankly.
Yeah, probably not, because they're on West Coast time, 1 o'clock right now in Sacramento. But he said after the game last night he was feeling okay. Chad Tracy said initial x-rays were negative, so good to go for hopefully tonight and the rest of the way. But
Well, it's the Red Sox medical staff.
It is the Red Sox
like,
medical staff, so that's where
well,
we have to
x-rayed
begin
your ankle, Curtis, and it looked great.
Yeah.
Ankle looks fine.
The ribs are fine. The ribs are doing great.
Yeah.
Oh, I got hit on the wrist, actually. Well,
Yeah.
don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's fine. Just put a little ice on it.
What a weekend to be away for 4 days.
Right. Here's what we have coming up in today's show. We're going to talk about LeBron going to Philly and what that means for Jaylen Brown. We'll have Sean McAdam join us from MassLive.com to talk some Red Sox at the end of this first hour. Second hour of the show, we'll have the meatball of the day. The Sox ticket sweepstakes. Now, is today the first day on the drive for this?
First day on the drive, yeah. The Roast unveiled it this morning because we had some gremlins in the phone line last week. So we had a one-way phone, but it is now two-way once again, and we are ready to take as many calls as we can. That's what the Roast did this morning, and all kinds of names that I have to transfer over from pen and paper into spreadsheet.
Yeah, I have a series of emails from Jim, and this is one of them, and I have to actually go back and read it again because I read it on Jim time, which I think was when he sent it, which was some ungodly hour. Don't know why I was awake at that time, but I didn't comprehend it. But we will have that. Sox ticket sweepstakes. We're giving away some tickets, long story short.
Fantastic tickets.
How we're giving them away, we'll explain more in the second hour of the show. Matt Votor of MassLive.com is going to join us to talk some Patriots camp. Of course, news coming out of there. The Christian Gonzalez has been offered a massive contract, according to Robert Kraft, the biggest ever for a Patriot and the biggest ever for a cornerback, which leads you to believe it is a hefty chunk of change. And
would have to be for that latter part.
Robert Kraft essentially just taking all of the poker chips and shoving them at Christian Gonzalez and saying, your move, buddy.
Beat you to the mic, Christian.
Right. And then we'll have some more talk here before the end of the show and buzzer beaters. Again, Red Sox baseball tonight at pregame 8:38 and then first pitch at 9:38. Jake Bennett on the mound for your Boston Red Sox. So that's where we start, is the Boston Red Sox and Curtis Mead, and that's because he's only played in one game.
And tonight's starter, Jake Bennett, who was kind of picked over the guy that they traded for Curtis Mead, right?
Yeah, it certainly seems like it. So a bit of a shock, frankly, that the Red Sox made a move this early, and a bit of a shock as to who they traded and who they traded for. So the Red Sox trade starter Connelly Early, who's been on the shelf for a little bit with elbow inflammation, though he's supposed to get a rehab start or a bullpen session in like today. It's coming right up.
He wasn't that far from returning.
No. And he even got a second opinion outside of Red Sox medical staff. So I think we can actually confirm that he has in fact just had some elbow inflation that's gone. And so anyway, he's dealing with that. And he gets traded to the Washington Nationals, a team with tons of offense that desperately needed pitching. The Red Sox, of course, a team that desperately needed hitting, that has plenty of pitching. And this is kind of what we thought the Red Sox could do, like find another team that thinks they're a contender and make a deal.
A like for like.
Right. And that's what they did. And I guess kudos to them for doing that. Now, the problems are pretty obvious and easy to identify pretty quickly. One, Connelly Early is obviously a very good young pitcher under team control until 2031 or 2032.
For a while. I mean, this is his first year in the major leagues. He had a cup of coffee last year.
Yeah, so he's under team control for a while. Curtis Mead also under control for a while, but he has now been with the Rays, the Phillies, the White Sox, and then the Nationals. So this is his fifth team in the course of his career. I have something in my eye.
And
I don't know if you
it's like
that.
4 or 5 seasons because he's been a 4A player.
Correct.
To this point, I mean, to the degree that he got cut by the White Sox coming out of camp this year. They DFA'd him. He was there for every team in Major League Baseball to pass over. That's
including
exactly what
Sox.
they did. till the Nationals picked him up for a college player at the time. I looked the guy up today.
Yeah.
He's playing his first year of A-ball this season, so that's who the White Sox felt okay with giving this guy away for. And remember, the Nationals are now being led by a former Red Sox front office guy, Paul Taboni, who was there last year. He was in Fenway front office for a couple of years. A very up-and-coming name in front office conversations around baseball. And he basically turned 4 good months of Curtis Mead into Connelly Early, which, like, for right now, for this team, they probably need Curtis Mead more than they do Connelly Early.
Unquestionably so.
Beyond 2026, I really dislike this deal because Connelly Early, he's just more proven at this point in professional Major League Baseball than Curtis Mead is, who was a good prospect at one point, but Early has been not lights out, but 7-5, a 3.44 ERA this season, 8-7, 3.24 over his first 21 starts. It's really the ERA number that I look at. Like, he's already such a polished major league pitcher that any deal you were going to make sending him out, you should have got a return more than Curtis Mead back for.
Yeah, and I think that's what people are upset about is Curtis Mead, as you said, was DFA'd by the Chicago White Sox just 4 short months ago. Now, the White Sox are better this year, but still coming into this year, that was a last-place team, and they said, you know what, Curtis Mead, we don't have any use for you, right? And now there is something to be said that he does have a pedigree, right? With the Rays, he was a highly touted prospect. Maybe the Nationals saw something in him, fixed something in his swing and his mechanics that have led him to he's having a very good season. 17 homers, you mentioned, a bunch of RBIs. He's certainly done the things you want to do this year. And if you look at just this year's numbers and his age, you say, boy, I think that's like as good as you're going to get for a guy like Connelly Early. Like, this is a great deal for both teams.
If he materializes into like a 25 homer, 80 RBI guy year in and year out, and this year isn't some sort of aberration where he just found it for a couple of months.
Right. Now, I think what a lot of Red Sox Nation wanted, and I'll include myself in this bucket, is not that you don't trade Connelly Early. I always knew that was a possibility, but that if you did trade him, it was for an established, like, really good high-end all-star caliber player like a Jeremy Pena. Right? Or frankly, if you're looking at the Nationals, like their shortstop CJ Abrams, like I would have given you Early and pieces for that.
Marcelo Meyer. See, that's the thinking
that's
that
the
I had going into it. Yes, that Connelly Early is like a centerpiece, but you also add other pieces to it. Maybe it's Early and it's Meyer for an all-star quality player, because those are the names that he was being linked to, whether it was last offseason or even somewhat this year, like Ketel Marte making a swing at Zach Neto with the Angels to try to bring them in, and you have your shortstop for the next 10 years. Jeremy Pena, the name you just mentioned, CJ Abrams, who was an all-star this year, has 24 homers and 70-plus RBI.
This is his 4th or 5th season in the majors, and his numbers have been pretty good all along.
He doesn't pan out to be a shortstop long-term. That's kind of why I guess teams are reticent to trade for him, but I'll still take that bat any day of the week, especially over Curtis Mead. But I mean, it's all these all-star quality names that we heard about getting in return potentially in a deal with Connelly Early going out the door. And now it feels like, I mean, I don't even think you have to be that much of like a analytical mind or baseball fan on it to just know that it seems like an overpay on the surface. I found a Baseball Trade Values. It's a site out there that tries to apply a dollar amount to each player so you can just see it visually that way. $11.4 million surplus trade value is what they put on Curtis Mead in the deal. $30.4 million is what they put on Connelly Early in the deal. So that's just what we're trying to illustrate here, that it seems like a severe overpay at the moment. Now, if this signals a new attitude for Red Sox front office and Craig Breslow specifically, where he said as much, like his quote on making this deal, I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said, we're no longer trying to win every deal. We're just trying to make the major league team better, which you can say this move does in a vacuum, because this team more desperately needs hitting than it does the pitching.
Especially right-handed, especially in the middle of the infield. Yes.
So if he has switched his mindset to that entirely, and it's not just kind of wasting the potential on Connelly Early to get a bat right now that you think plugs in well, to, I don't know, you throw Franklin Arias and Marcelo Meyer and Anthony Ianson and like all these top prospect names in a deal to go get this massive impact player that either right now at the deadline or next offseason. Like, if that's the direction that this team is heading in, cool, sign me up for it. But I think that's there's a long way away between those two dots to try to connect it.
Yeah, I think you look at this deal and you say the Red Sox checked the boxes that people wanted them to check, but they did so in a way that probably made, as you said, an overpay. And now I wondered for a brief moment, like, well, are we Jaylen Browning this? Are we significantly overinflating the value of Connelly Early? Because we like the guy, but you just said right there,
based on all the reporting around
neutral
the trade,
observing says he was a significantly more valuable asset than Curtis Mead was. Because again, Curtis Mead was DFA'd 4 months. Like the Red Sox could have had him for a song 4 short months ago, right? And so that's a problem.
And I just from the moment Early came up, I know his first couple of starts were against the A's and they're out in Sacramento in a AAA ballpark, but just remember how fearless he was in that start at Yankee Stadium last year with a handful of major league starts in his back pocket to just roll in there with the bright lights on and try to keep them down for as long as he could when the Red Sox bats weren't doing him anything to help out. I just think everything I've seen from him with his mental makeup and just where he already is as a professional athlete, like 24 going on 40 in the head, I think I see Connelly Early settling into like a really good 12-5, 13-6, 2.90 ERA guy, like for the better part of 10 years. I don't think he's ever going to top a rotation or be an ace, but he's going to be a really, really damn good player to stick in the middle of it, more so than, say, Curtis Mead as like a 3 through 5 hitter in your lineup.
Yeah, I've kind of viewed him as a 3 that can play up as a 2 in your rotation, and there's a lot of value in that. And I don't think he's ever going to... Like, I think Peyton Tolley could be an ace. I don't see that in Connelly Early.
Yeah.
But I do find, there's often just as much value in guys that can be your steady 3 as there is a Tolley who might miss a year because of Tommy John because he throws so hard, but when he's going, he's an ace. So I kind of was hoping like Jake Bennett was the guy that I had circled as like, if you're going to make a deal for a Curtis Mead in particular.
Yeah, sell super high on a guy like that.
Right, and that's what I would have liked to see. If it was an early trade, I would have liked to see it for a Jeremy Pena with a contract extension on the back end. Now, that would imply that the Red Sox would have to spend money, and they don't necessarily want to do that, as we know. And there's also, I think you probably could have gotten more for Connelly Early if you waited another week. Right, I think if you had waited till the deadline, you probably would have seen more teams a little bit more desperate to make a move for the future, to make a move for a starting pitcher. I think they made the move early, as you just said. They're not looking to win the trade. They're simply looking to make the team better. That's what this team does, but I can't help but think that if they had just waited one more week, I think you would, like, maybe the Astros lose 5 of 7, and all of a sudden they're like, well, we can't keep Jeremy Pena anyway. Sure, we'll send you him for Early. Like, I think there would have been other deals to be made, but because they wanted to make the deal now, a week ahead of time to get ahead of everyone else, which is what they did, they settled for a lesser player to get that extra week and to get ahead of everyone else looking for that bat.
Yeah, I don't even know if they would have had to wait that much longer. Those deals might have been out there now if they just made the proper calls. Let's hear from Chris Cotillo. We're going to hear from Sean McAdam joining us live later this hour. This is Sean and Chris kind of taping their instant reaction to the deal over the weekend. That's the thing. Like, this just better be the mindset going forward. There better not be a holdup on a deal in the future where it's like, geez, well, we already gave away Connelly Early for Curtis Mead, so we can't give away, player X for player Y, who we might be slighted in that deal or it might backfire or go against us in some way.
Yeah.
If this is the new risky Red Sox, then sign me up for it.
So I guess let me ask you this, because I know we're going to get to break here in a minute. We've got some LeBron talk coming up, but the Nationals being what they were, like they're one of contending now too. Like, it's not like they're a team that's looking like Connelly Early. Yes, it's a benefit that they're going to have him for the next few years, but this is clearly a team like they're ready to win this year, and they are ready to be a playoff team this year. I think. I mean,
they're like fringe wild card. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, I wonder if Sonny Gray was offered. You know what I mean? Like, yes, Sonny Gray's numbers are great. He's been the ace of your staff. His numbers the last couple starts have been a little iffy, but like, I would have dealt him in a heartbeat. As opposed to Early.
And I would know why Washington wouldn't be interested in that sense, because then it is just truly like for this year that you're looking at and not for the future. Yeah,
and maybe they would have said no, but I have to think like a guy that's already available, who's already pitching, that doesn't need a couple of stints on a rehab assignment, that can be the ace of your staff like immediately. that had to have some appeal to them as a team that is trying to make the playoffs, I would think.
I think it's the long-term benefit of what you can get with Connelly Early. Again, Taboni was a guy who was in Boston last year. He watched him come up through the system. He watched what he was able to do at the major league level. He's probably had an eye on him since then, going back to Washington, because this isn't the first deal they've struck with the Nats. That's where Jake Bennett came from as well. He gave you Jake Bennett, which now may be some sort of long play because he knows, like, well, I'll give him a young lefty because maybe that makes them more likely to trade a young lefty back to me in the future. Again, who knows if any of that was factoring in at the time, because that was months before they even acquired Curtis Mead. But the point is, this is a guy who knew the Red Sox system. He knew who he wanted to target, and he got what the industry will tell you is a great value for his team out of the deal.
Now, I wonder, so we can play the what-if game all day. They say, no, we won't take Jake Bennett, but we'll do Jake Bennett and Brian Bayo. Like, do you do that? Would you rather do that than Connelly Early?
Not for Curtis Mead. No, those are both overpays for Curtis Mead. That's kind of the point, is that this is a guy...
I don't know what to make of Jake Bennett. I think that's a problem that I have. I don't, like, his stuff looks great and everything's there, but, like, he came out of nowhere.
Well, that's the thing. Is his stuff great, or does he just throw a lot of strikes?
That's what I mean. Like, he's got good control of it. It's not elite stuff, but he's very much like an Early, honestly.
He is a craftier lefty than Early is. Early is between him and Tolle as far as, like, fireballer to crafty lefty. Early is even closer to Tolle than he is Jake Bennett, I think.
I guess I would say if you did Jake Bennett for Curtis Mead, I would have almost felt like the Nationals lost that deal. So from a Nationals perspective, I would think
it would have felt a lot more fair to me.
Bennett might not make sense for them, which is why I would throw in a guy like, I mean, maybe Brian Bayo is not the obvious answer, but he would be an obvious need for them.
I mean, the simplest answer is they traded Jake Bennett to the Red Sox like 5 months ago, so they weren't going to reacquire him for Curtis Mead, you would think.
Well, I mean, they just traded Curtis Mead, and they've only had him for 4 months, so.
Yeah, again, it's my reaction to this trade is nothing against Curtis Mead, and I am willing to, like...
He might be good.
Yeah, I'm willing to withhold all opinions on him to see what he's like for the rest of the year. It's solely based on how I currently and already felt about Connelly Early and how I projected him to go in the future. Yeah. And I'm just disappointed that this is what they got for that deal. Let's hope that it's the first of a couple, because if Connelly Early for Curtis Mead is your big move at the deadline, then Craig Breslow has once again failed. Because yes, you can make the argument that he's added to the lineup and that's what this team needed, but it's not really an impact move that's going to take this team over the top, nor is it a good one for the long term.
It is the biggest swing that he has taken midseason, and we should give him a little bit of credit for that. Like, it's better than what he has done. That doesn't mean it's enough, because it's not. I agree with you. But I do think it has to be said, this is the biggest swing that he has taken as president of baseball operations since he came over to the Red Sox. Would you? That's
in season, yeah.
Yes. Now, during the offseason, maybe not, but in season, to the Red Sox favor, I should add, so it's not Rafael Devers. And I do hope that there's another big swing to come. I'm afraid that we probably are wish casting on that. But we'll see.
Let me read this quote that I've been kind of dancing around. So Breslow, and getting uncomfortable making the move, he said, quote, "Trying to find an opportunity to win a trade is not nearly as easy as maybe it would have been at another point, and instead, in this position of trying to shift our goal is to not to win the trade. Our goal is to make our major league team better," unquote. Yeah. So again,
I mean, it sounds like he knows that he gave up an overpay. It sounds like he knows.
But if that's going to be the new world that you get into, which is being uncomfortable in order to contend, that I'm all for. Yeah. This trade, maybe not as much, but that mindset, sure.
Brought to you by Greenway Equipment. We are in their studios, your locally owned John Deere dealer. See the Smith Brothers in Bangor and Ellsworth, because nothing runs like a Deere. Also brought to you by your local family-owned McDonald's on Main Street, Union Street in Bangor, Wilson Street in Brewer. Get an extra value meal with extra value when you order in the McD app in July. That's a couple more days for now. A classic quarter pounder with cheese or filet-o-fish extra value meal, only $8 when you use that McD app. Now, my barber told me, and you can verify this maybe, that Tanner Houck and Cutter Crawford are both close.
I mean, they're out there. They're in the ether.
Because one of them is probably going to be needed at some point, unless you get Garrett Crochet back like ASAP, which feels unlikely.
I mean, at this point, there's probably a case to be made that you have to go out and acquire some sort of innings eater, which is wild to think of because pitching has been all the talk with
because
this team.
Sandoval doesn't seem to be able to go more than 4 or 5.
No, and I mean, Tolley and Bennett are now both up against their innings limit, and Suarez has been on and off the shelf. Yeah. Sonny Gray, I'm not going to say Saturday was a sign of things
He's
to
had
come,
a couple of bad starts in a row.
But, I don't know about a row because he had 4 earned runs over his previous 5.
Maybe 4. I don't know. I'll have to look. But his ERA in July is not what you'd think it would be.
But exactly, like, he's not going to keep up to that level the rest of the season. So you would think they need an arm somewhere.
And the opener thing for Brian Bayo, like, I understand it works for him, but when your opener is giving up 4 runs in an inning.
Yeah, that doesn't work as well.
No. Like, I get, like, for whatever, he's got to get over that mental. I don't know what is going on in his head that makes him incapable of starting a game, but elite when he doesn't start the game. But he's got to figure that out. He's getting paid a lot of money to be a long relief guy.
Yeah, I mean, those are 3 names right there that Houck, Crawford, Bayo, like, they've all been larger factors than what they are currently, and the Sox need them getting back to that point if they're going to contend down the stretch this year.
I mean, ideally, like, Patrick Sandoval would not be starting games for your team.
Yeah, correct.
That would be the ideal world, and now he is, like, a cemented part of your rotation, at least for the time being. All right, LeBron to Philly. Weird. We'll talk about that next. Wild indeed. Brought to you by Heroes Sports Grill and Entertainment Center. Heroes is the place to be in downtown Bangor and at heroesportsgrill.com. I was just talking to Mark about how this is my last show for a while. I'll be off in Ireland and Scotland, and when I return, my first show back, I'm at Heroes.
Really?
I believe that's what the schedule says.
It's not a bad way. Now, bad landing spot.
The unfortunate side of that is I think I'm on the day that I get back. Because you always want to have like that one buffer day.
Like
I have
the actual day you return.
Yeah, I believe that's the case. Yeah,
you didn't schedule yourself a day off.
I think I might have, but it may have gotten lost in translation along the way. Which sometimes whatever. But we're gonna be at Heroes, so assuming my flight's not delayed, life is good.
There you go.
So anyway, looking forward to that. Heroes Sports Grill Entertainment Center, great place to be. Again, heroesportsgrill.com if you're looking to get some takeout. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a hint of this Red Sox ticket sweepstakes that we're going to do in the second hour of the show. It's brought to you by Donuts, Appliance, and Mattress. 3 games, August 6th versus the White Sox, August 17th against the Diamondbacks, September 9th against the Angels. Each game, there'll be 4 tickets. And if you want to know the exact details, Section 54, Row J. I've been told it's very good. There's not going to be a pillar in front of you. Drawing is on July 30th on the drive, August 10th on the roast, and September 2nd on the drive. You call to enter the Sox ticket sweepstakes when you hear the special cue to call. Again, that'll be in the second hour. All entries will carry over throughout the sweepstakes. Now, if you win the first one, correct, you are no longer eligible for 2 and 3. But
everybody else rolls over.
Exactly. All right, so let's talk LeBron. You just heard right there his personal reporter, Brian Windhorst, describing how crazy this is. And I love the comparison to the I was laughing as he's saying it because he's listing the players that joined that team. And I was like, don't forget Gary Payton. And then he says Gary Payton.
It's a very apt comparison from a couple of guys like in the latter stages of their career, the twilight of their career. You got a very headstrong individual in Jaylen Brown, whereas there you had Kobe and like Shaq, his personality in the middle of it with Embiid. It's on paper, it looks great. Now, on paper, it looks great. The gravitational pull on the court, I have no clue how Nick Nurse is going to draw that up.
The difference, of course, between those two is that at that point, the Lakers were all getting up there in age, minus Kobe. Whereas with this team, other than LeBron, like Embiid is old for a young guy.
Yeah, that's kind of how I was counting it.
Jaylen Brown is
head.
still entering his prime. Tyrese Maxey might not have even hit his prime yet. VJ Edgecombe certainly has not hit his prime.
No, I had Embiid as the old guy in my head.
Right.
Because his body is.
Right. So, but it's so interesting to me as an NBA fan. And first, I'll give credit where credit is due. One of my friends and I have argued back and forth on this one a bit. He hates it for LeBron. He thinks it's LeBron just chasing rings and he can't understand it and he doesn't like it. I will at least admit that I appreciate a guy who's willing to put money aside and go out and try to win a ring. We talk all the time about how we wish athletes would pursue the ultimate goal of winning rather than getting the biggest payday. Well, LeBron just put his money where his mouth is because he took a significant amount less.
$2.876 million is his salary for this season.
Yeah, like that is so much less money than LeBron could have been paid. Like they have probably already made that money back in jersey sales.
Yeah,
that's insane that he was willing to do that, and so kudos to him. And you can say, well, he's on his like billionth team, and
he's already a billionaire,
right? And all these things, and all that is true. And I get he is chasing rings, and the fact that he keeps going from team to team to team, I understand that. He has also brought a ring to
4, so 3 so far.
I was going to say of the teams he's gone to, he brought one to Miami, right? Or was it one? One.
Yeah. 2 to Miami because they lost.
Was it 2?
Lost 1-1 lost. That's how they bookended that.
And then Cleveland.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the Lakers, although the bubble year. Although that was still a normal season for the most part, other than the last end of it. So, yeah, I mean, he's ended up doing the thing he went to do. I know there's a lot of LeBron haters around here, and I get it, but I got to say, I still respect the guy, his talents, and I actually appreciate him for being willing to forego. He's essentially getting paid peanuts in NBA terms to do this. I don't know but the problem is if he's not willing to also take a cut in his play on the court.
Yeah, that's the thing. How does this work together?
Yeah.
Jaylen Brown didn't want to share time with Jason Tatum. Right. He's now sharing time with 3 other moons out there on the court.
Now, my guess is there's going to be a lot of games where just one of them doesn't play. But you have to have some level of consistency when you get to the playoffs. You have to know how to play together.
That group isn't playing more than 21 regular season games together.
I would guess you're right, just because of Embiid alone. I do wonder, like, there's a world where LeBron takes this and he says, I'm getting paid a lot less money. I'm literally just here to win a ring. And he becomes Magic Johnson. And if he does that, because he can do that, especially at this stage in his career, he would play the perfect role of Magic Johnson. This team is terrifying. If he doesn't do that and he still wants to have the ball in his hands to take the final shots at crunch time, if he still wants to be the guy that averages 20 points a game, it'll be a problem. I don't know which one he's going to be because he's never really proven to me that he's capable of taking not just a backseat, but like being in the trunk.
We're not going to know until May of next year because it's not going to be an issue in the regular season.
I'll take that back. He'd have to be the Uber driver in this case.
Yeah.
Like he's got all the guys, they're all going to their different destinations. He's got to be the guy that facilitates. He's got to average like 12 assists a game in my mind if this is going to be successful. And I don't know if his ego is capable of that. But the fact that he was willing to do the 2 years for $8 million tells me maybe.
He wasn't there last year, but he was trending toward it. Like he was taking a backseat to Luka. He was taking a backseat to Austin Reeves and just being the facilitator out there on the court.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. And I actually feel the guy I feel bad for the most is Tyrese Maxey because I feel like he keeps taking these big step forwards every offseason. Like, there's no way he can take another one.
That production's gone.
And, like, VJ Edgecombe now is, like, a sixth man, essentially. Like, he might start, but he's not going to, like, you'd be better off having him come off the bench.
Yeah, really.
So, I don't know. It'll be interesting. But if LeBron is willing to play Magic Johnson, it could be very, very good for Philly. Brought to you by Premium Choice Broadband. Premium Choice Broadband, local family-owned, bringing affordable high-speed internet to Maine for over a decade. Call or email and mention PCB the ticket to get one free month for new residential customers. Visit premiumchoicebroadband.com for details. I'd be real tempted to trade VJ Edgecombe for a good big man.
Like a backup big? Because right now all they have is that Adam Bona guy or whatever his name is.
They have him and they have obviously Embiid. Yeah, I mean, you could really use some depth on that side of things, whereas Edgecombe becomes pretty expendable at this point. All right, Sean McAdam, MassLive.com, up next. Welcome back to The Drive, brought to you by Bangor Mall Cinema, Greater Bangor's favorite hometown theater for over 40 years. Bangor Mall Cinema, luxury recliners and upgraded food menu. Find showtimes and reserve your seat at yourneighborhoodtheater.com. Some big ones coming out. Spider-Man, I think, is coming soon.
I saw The Odyssey on Friday.
And?
We had the Friday... Oh, I mean, it's the greatest epic ever told. I think that's been known for like 3,000 years.
I don't want to take too much time from Sean McAdam, but we're going to have a discussion about this because I had it circled on my calendar to do it this week before we leave for Ireland.
We'll have it after Sean.
All right. So let's go to the Heroes Hotline now to check in with Sean McAdam of MassLive.com to talk some Red Sox. And, well, we just heard you right there, Sean, talking about the deal to an extent. And the quote that Mark read earlier from Craig Breslow, which was essentially... They're not looking to, quote-unquote, win the trade. They're simply looking to make the team on the field better. I feel like that really sums up what he did. Like, yeah, they probably overpaid for a guy like Curtis Mead, who was DFA'd 4 short months ago, but it undeniably makes the team better, right?
Yeah, I think we're arguing gradations here. No one, I don't think, would take issue with the claim that he represents an upgrade over whatever they have at second base right now, whether that be Stigler or upon his return, kind of Falefa or Meyer, or even Trevor Story moved over and all that entails. This makes them better, and it gives them another right-handed run-producing bat and a guy who is kind of built for Fenway in terms of his swing. Hits the ball in the air, pulls the ball. That should result in some pretty strong numbers at home. So the fact that, maybe Connelly Early develops into a number 2 starter down the road and a consistent 15-game winner, well, there are people in baseball who will tell you that it has never been harder to get a run-producing right-handed bat. That's what everyone wants, and the asking price was pretty high.
I think the question that a lot of Red Sox fans have is a pretty simple one. It's, how did he make this adjustment, being Curtis Mead, and is it sustainable long-term? Or AKA, are pitchers going to figure out the adjustment he made and adjust to that, and he's going to be right back where he was? Because, frankly, being DFA'd by the White Sox in the offseason tells you that he wasn't that far away from being considered a quad-A player or maybe being out of baseball, even though he was a fairly highly touted prospect not that long ago. What leads you to believe that this is sustainable, that this is a valuable piece that is going to be around for the long term and productive for the long term?
Well, there was an interesting interview with him on the NESN pregame show, and it was actually conducted not only by Jemai Webster, but a number of beat writers who were on the trip. It was their sort of introduction to him. And he talked about how for too long he was constantly making adjustments, that if he went 0 for 4 or 0 for 10, he thought, well, I got to scrap this swing or this setup or this hand placement and start all over again. And when you do that, when you're changing after every few disappointing at-bats, it's not surprising that he was sort of treading water for a number of years. But what he did this year was find something that worked for him and then convince himself he was going to stick with it. And he has, and you see the results. So that's why I think, look, I'm not here to guarantee that this guy's a perennial all-star going forward, but I think it's pretty obvious that he's kind of gotten over a hump, figured some things out for himself, and acknowledged that maybe his biggest problem up until the start of this year was not staying consistent in terms of how he approached each at bat. And now that he's doing it, he's getting much better results. That tells me that, this is a more permanent level that we can expect.
That quote that Aaron referenced from Craig Breslow, just the latter part of it, quote, "I've tried to shift our goal not to win the trade, our goal to make the major league team better." Is that something that he is going to go forward with, do you believe, Sean? And the idea of getting a little uncomfortable to contend, or was that simply for this trade in a vacuum?
Well, I don't know. It's an excellent question. Whether it signals a newfound aggressiveness or okay, we're going to do this one time because we have to, I don't know. But I don't think it's a bad thing. I think particularly in this era of younger executives and everybody overvaluing prospects and all of that, it seems like sometimes baseball executives are paralyzed by fear that they're going to make some trade that is going to come back to bite them in the years to come, and they're never going to live it down. So if you don't make the trade at all, then you can't be criticized for one that blew up on you. And again, I think part of that whole philosophy is we're trying to be better, we're not trying to win the trade, is a reflection of what I was just talking about with the market for right-handed bats. Think about how few right-hand, you hear about Skubal. A few weeks ago, we're hearing about Sonny Gray. You hear about some pretty decent starting pitchers being available. You do not hear a lot about right-handed bats that can produce runs and have power being available. So I think that was also a subtle admission on Breslow's part that, hey, look, this isn't easy to find, and you might have to overpay at least a little for it, and we are willing to do it at least this one time.
What is it about Major League Baseball right now that it has made it so hard to develop and find right-handed bats? Because it does seem like a growing problem for teams.
Yeah, in the bigger case, it's easy to figure out why offense is down and why everyone is looking for bats. That's because we're in this era of pitchers kind of maximizing velocity in a way that they never have before. Pitching lab, stride line, all these things designed to increase, to better and improve and focus on pitching. And you look around the game, and now the average team batting average is like 240, 235. The more specific question is, why is it so hard to find right-handed hitters versus left-handed? I'm not smart enough to answer that. But there are. We can sit here right now and rip off, the number of left-handed hitters that are at the top of their game, and there aren't quite as many of them from the right side for whatever reason.
It's kind of a two-part question for you, Sean, but is Curtis Mead the biggest acquisition the Red Sox will make before the deadline? And what else is on your shopping list, not Craig Breslow's?
The answer to the first question is, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a move at least as big as this one. I think they're in on I think they're trying to do a number of things, and they're juggling a few balls in the air at the same time. I think they are looking for they're checking in on depth starters because giving up early has depleted the depth, and it does not look as if Garrett Crochet is riding to the rescue at any point soon. So there's that. I think by definition, almost every team contending is trying to add bullpen at the deadline, so that's another one. And I think they would like another right-handed bat, whether it be someone to platoon with Jarren Duran, kind of a better version of Jahmai Jones, I guess I would describe it. We've heard all the shortstop talk, and we've also heard the search for an upgrade behind the plate. Those last two are not going to be cheap, obviously. If you're talking about trying to find an everyday shortstop who's got a little thump, whether that be Abrams, whether that be Neto, that's not going to come without giving up quite a bit in exchange. And I would expect if they are in on somebody like Hunter Goodman or some other catching options, Langoliers would have made a lot of sense for them, that's going to be expensive too. So I'm guessing that, one of those things is going to happen. And I'm not saying I know which one, but so there's at least the possibility that they get somebody as big a name or as impactful as Mead in another deal. What would I do? I think it's about pitching now. I'm not saying that they've got a lineup to make the 1927 Yankees blush all of a sudden, but they clearly are at a point now where they're at least league average, and Mead, makes them better, which is why they made that deal and made it early. So I'd be looking at some depth starters, because I think you have to wonder about the workload for both Tolley and Bennett going forward. And, when your number 5 guy who goes tonight or tomorrow night, Sandoval, is somebody that recently came back after a more than 2-year layoff, that does not exactly scream rotational stability. So I think another late-inning, high-leverage relief arm, maybe a lefty, somebody like Brooks Raley is a possibility. If you're aiming higher, somebody like Luke Weaver, or a depth starter, or both. I think that, I think they've got enough offense now that they should now focus on pitching.
So you nailed that two-part question, so I'll give you a two-part question as well. The first part, a lot of the critiques of this deal, and I think it's kind of what Chris Cotillo was talking about with you in that soundbite we played at the beginning, was that not that they dealt early, but that they felt he could have been part of a larger package for a larger name. You mentioned a few of those names, perhaps, what you just said right there. How true is that? Do you think that could have been a possibility? And I guess, where does that leave the team in terms of what they have available to deal? Say they want to go out and get a Hunter Goodman. Like, what does that deal look like now? Because I think the prevailing thought was Early would be the guy that would kind of headline that thing.
Yeah. Well, there's no question that they are down one sizable chip after that trade. Early was a 25-year-old lefty with a ceiling of maybe a number 2, certainly a number 3 starter. There's tremendous value there, but you don't have him anymore. I doubt that they're going to trade both Early and Tolle and end up trading away two talented homegrown lefty pitchers under 25 or 26. So I don't see Tolle being moved. It could be more prospect driven. You could be looking at Ianson or certainly Franklin Arias is going to draw a lot of interest. He is a top 10 prospect, not in the organization, in the industry. And a lot of people think he's going to be a star. So that would, I think if they were willing to move Arias, it would by definition have to be a significant name, whether that be Goodman or another bat, but you're not going to just make a deal and give up Arias and not get a real impact person in return.
And then finally, Cutter Crawford, Tanner Houck, are either of those guys viable options to potentially fill on this rotation before the end of the year, or is that kind of a pipe dream because they're not close enough?
To me, Crawford is a real mystery. I mean, this guy hasn't pitched now since the end of 24. He missed all of last year. He's missed all of this year so far. He's starting to throw more regularly in Fort Myers off the mound, so I guess that's a good sign. But it's hard to believe. We're basically down to, or very close to being at 2 months left in the season. You got about, somewhere between 55 and 60 games left. It's hard to think either one of those guys could ramp up and be ready to pitch in a playoff race in the next, 5 or 6 weeks, which is what you'd have to still have a couple of weeks to have an impact here. So I would say long shots both.
All right. Hey, Sean, thank you so much for taking the time as always. We appreciate it.
My pleasure, guys. Always enjoyed being on with you.
Sean McAdam of MassLive.com right there. We're brought to you by Union Street Towing. If you're stuck on the side of the road, they have you covered 24/7 statewide. From breakdowns to lockouts, they'll get you moving fast. Call 942-4200 Union Street Towing, driven to be there when you need them most. And by Casella, good pay, good people, good life. Find your place at powerofhardwork.com. And Natural Lawn of America. If you want a greener, healthier lawn, my lawn is very brown right now. Without harsh chemicals, Natural Lawn of America can help. Organic-based care and tick ranger protection. Call 721-0600 or naturallawn.com/Bangor-ME. Naturally healthier lawns. All right, we'll take a break. Coming up next.
I thought you had some questions about the Odyssey that we had to kick to the other side of Sean.
Oh, okay. Well, I was going to do them
that was for the commercial
air,
break. Yeah, that would make more sense.
No, I mean, so it was everything you hoped it would, because you're right. It's like that is the hero's journey. All the journeys are based off of it.
It's the one that every story ever written has been based off since.
And Christopher Nolan is, if not my favorite director, he's like a 1B, because I mean, Inception, Oppenheimer, Memento, like
everything seems like an event that he does when it comes out. You got to see it.
Really good at this type of stuff, so it was worth it.
I think it's 3 hours and 2 minutes, but at no point does it feel like a 3-hour movie.
Did you bring an adult diaper or something? Or
no, I held firm. I locked in.
Really?
I was like, there's no dull parts of this movie. There's no point to check out.
I guess the key is to either go eat a lot of salty food right before you go in.
I did kind of dehydrate myself.
Okay. Or
accidentally
do that
the day leading up to it, so it worked out well.
Okay, good to know. All right, I'm hoping to maybe get there between now and when we leave for Ireland. That's a goal of mine, but
you should do it.
3 hours is a hefty ask. But he does it. That's what he does. He has 3-hour movies.
It keeps you gripped. It's one that you can take Jamie to it. She's not gonna. Yeah. She's not gonna get. She'll get lost in the 3 hours. She won't feel it. It
wasn't too because I've heard the critique I've heard from people that actually have translated and read the Odyssey, historians and things, is that it was very Matt Damon centric, very Matt Damon heavy, very Matt Damon he's the disgruntled hero that doesn't want to be the bad guy, but he is, and the whole thing was based off that and nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely softened Odysseus and parts of him because the epic that was written 3,000 years ago probably a little harsher than today's standards.
A little,
just a tad.
Yeah.
They definitely they polished him up a little bit.
All right, but it's still worth it. Mark Paula gives it 2 thumbs up.
If I had more, I'd give it more.
Two big toasts and 2 thumbs from Mark. That's Bangor Mall Cinema is where you can watch that. They have showtimes tonight, actually, 6 and 6:15. They're doing it 2 different theaters, so lots of possibilities.
Yeah, it's like...
No times after that, because after that would be like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. They got to go home too, people.
Yeah, the theater shut down after that.
Right, so I think 6 p.m., 6:15 were the 2 times that I saw tonight. But
it's like noon to... I mean, on the weekends, like noon to 8 or whatever, but weeknights, noon to 6. Basically, every 15 or 30 minutes, they got a showtime going off.
So there you go. Definitely. And Spider-Man is next.
End of the week, right?
Is it, I think it's, I was going to say next week, but technically, Friday would be next week for Movie Theater World. So, all right, we'll take a break. When we come back, it is time for can I say it?
Go for it.
There's a cue to call, so.
I mean, you can say it now.
We can't tell people to call now. You can call and save the number 992-9029. We're going to take calls for the Red Sox ticket sweepstakes brought to you by Dunnets, Inc. next.
We'll tell them it's happening 5 minutes away. Just if you happen to call while we're at break, know that line will get hung up on when the cue to call plays to clear the lines.
But you can call us now to save the number, so all you have to do is one quick click.
There you go.
After break.